Which one is correct? Wenn lernst du Deutsch oder wann lernst du Deutsch? Or wenn es schön ist, gehe ich joggen oder wann es schön ist, gehe ich joggen. A common problem, especially for English speakers, the difference between wenn und wann. In this video, you will not only learn the difference between those two, but also all the situations when you can use those two words. And we start with wann, which is the easier one. Important features. It's used for questions. This can be, though, direct and indirect questions. Examples just in a second. And you can also use it for relative clauses and this whenever. One more important thing. You see the translation there is when, but for wann, I suggest to use the translation at what time or at what point in time. More about this later in the bonus tip. Let's start with examples for direct questions in present tense, im Präsens. Wann fährst du nach Berlin? Wann fährst du nach Berlin? When are you going to Berlin? Oder wann kommt der Bus? Wann kommt der Bus? When does the bus arrive? And you see in both situations we have this wann. It's actually an adverb. Just call it a question word at the beginning of the sentence. Now let's answer those questions. You can say, wann fährst du nach Berlin? Zum Beispiel, ich fahre am 12. Juni. Oder wann kommt der Bus? Er kommt in 5 Minuten. Now, indirect questions, zum Beispiel, unser Chef fragt, wann du nach Berlin fährst. Unser Chef fragt, wann du nach Berlin fährst. Oder, weißt du, wann der Bus kommt? Weißt du, wann der Bus kommt? Do you know when the bus will arrive? And here's something I want to point out, because maybe you said, okay, it's for questions, so it's always a question mark. Whenever I have a question mark at the end of the sentence, I just use wann. This is actually not the case. As you can see here in the indirect questions, for indirect questions, you also have statements, and there is no question mark at the end. If you want to know more about indirect questions, we have a video about it in detail down in the description below. And also the other word, wenn, with an E, can also be used for questions. So this is something you have to keep in mind. It's not always when it's a question, it's wann. This would be too simple. It can also be used for statements. All right, let's do examples for Vergangenheit. Vergangenheit is past. Zum Beispiel, wann warst du in Berlin? Wann warst du in Berlin? When were you in Berlin? Oder wann ist der Bus gekommen? Wann ist der Bus gekommen? When did the bus arrive? Antworten zum Beispiel, ich war am 12. Juni in Berlin. Oder die zweite, er ist vor 5 Minuten gekommen. Er ist der Bus. Vor ist es ago. Er ist vor 5 Minuten gekommen. Now here, these examples, you start usually with the question word wann, right? But there's also other situations where you have a preposition before. Zum Beispiel, bis wann arbeitest du heute Abend? Bis wann arbeitest du heute Abend? Until when do you work today? Or, ab wann bist du im Urlaub? Ab wann bist du im Urlaub? From when on? From when are you on vacation? This up is from a certain time point in the future. Now, let's go to the relative clauses. Zum Beispiel, erinnerst du dich an den Tag, wann wir uns kennengelernt haben? Erinnerst du dich an den Tag, wann wir uns kennengelernt haben? Do you remember the day we met? Oder ein anderes Beispiel, das Datum, wann das Konzert stattfindet, ist noch nicht bekannt. Das Datum, wann das Konzert stattfindet, ist noch nicht bekannt. The date when the concert will take place is not yet known. Now, wann in a relative clause you can only use if the noun you are describing more in detail is a time word. So here, for example, it's den Tag. And you give more information about den Tag. There you can use this wann. Or das Datum. Das Datum, you give more information about the date, wann das Konzert stattfindet. Here you can use the relative sentence. But again, it's only possible to use this wann as in a relative clause if you describe a word, a time word, more in detail. And the last one is this wann immer, whenever. Zum Beispiel, ruf mich an, wann immer du willst. Ruf mich an, wann immer du willst. Call me whenever you want. You see this immer here is in brackets because you actually can drop it. And I would say it's probably more common used in spoken German that we drop it. We just say, ruf mich an, wann du willst. But for beginners, or if you just come across this topic for the first time, it's easier to memorize this whenever if you add this immer. Wann plus immer is this whenever in English. Ein anderes Beispiel, wir können ins Kino gehen, wann immer du Lust hast. Wir können ins Kino gehen, wann immer du Lust hast. We can go to the movies whenever you feel like. Again, you can drop it here and you can say, wir können ins Kino gehen, wann du Lust hast. Perfectly fine and probably more common in spoken German. That's for wann. Let's go to when. And when is this? You see it, when or whenever also, or if. And this if is in English also mostly used for a condition. And that's the most important feature. When is mostly used if you have a condition in the sentence. And it's also a conjunction. And when is a conjunction? Wann before was an adverb. When is a conjunction and it introduces a subordinate clause. And it's mostly used in present and future tense. It can be used also in the past tense. More about this also in the bonus tip. Fangen wir an. Beispiele, conditional, konditionell. Wenn es morgen regnet, bleiben wir zu Hause. Wenn es morgen regnet, bleiben wir zu Hause. If it rains tomorrow, we will stay home. Oder wir können dir helfen, wenn du willst. Wir können dir helfen, wenn du willst. We can help you if you want. So here in both those sentences we have this condition. First one, wenn es morgen regnet, the condition is this rain. If it rains, we will stay home. If it doesn't rain, we don't know yet what we're gonna do. Maybe we go out. And for the second one, we can help you if you want. Only if you want. And that's the condition. If you don't want, we don't help you. If you want to, we can help you. And we actually can help you. I hope our YouTube videos are already helpful for you, but if you want to go more in depth and if you want to have everything in one place, workbook, worksheets, a textbook, additional vocabularies and so on, you find a link down in the description to our homepage where we have online courses, self-paced online video courses, which will definitely help you and have everything structured from the beginning to the end for each level. Now, that was for conditional clauses. Now, wenn can also be used temporal, meaning something about time. Zum Beispiel, wenn das Video zu Ende ist, kannst du eine Pause machen. Wenn das Video zu Ende ist, kannst du eine Pause machen. When the video is over, you can take a break. It's actually not true, because there is another video at the end of this video, which is also about this topic. It kind of completes this whole topic about the third when in German. Anderes Beispiel, ruf mich an, wenn du zu Hause bist. Ruf mich an, wenn du zu Hause bist. Call me when you get home. In both situations here, this when is referring to time. So when the video is over, that's a specific time we talk about, or when you get home, that's also a specific time we talk about. And this when can also be replaced here with sobald. Maybe you have seen this already before. It's actually also when or once. And in those situations, use temporal, you can replace them. They're like synonyms. So you can say, sobald das Video zu Ende ist, kannst du eine Pause machen. Oder ruf mich an, sobald du zu Hause bist. Perfectly fine. Both these words, sobald or when. And we also use when we talk about habits or routines. Zum Beispiel, wenn ich Deutsch lerne, bin ich glücklich. Wenn ich Deutsch lerne, bin ich glücklich. When I learn German, I'm happy. I hope so. You should be, because learning German when you're angry, it's not a good idea. Oder Leo wird oft nervös, wenn eine Prüfung hat. Leo wird oft nervös, wenn eine Prüfung hat. Leo often gets nervous when he has an exam. And here again, in both situations, we talk about something which doesn't happen just once. If you learn German maybe daily, weekly, definitely more than once. So this is kind of a habit or routine. Or Leo, he probably doesn't write only one exam in his whole life, right? So there as well, it's something which happens more often. This is a habit or routine, and therefore you can use this wenn here. And here as well, you can replace this wenn with immer wenn. And this is in English this whenever. Immer wenn ich Deutsch lerne, bin ich glücklich. Whenever I learn German, I'm happy. Oder Leo wird oft nervös, immer wenn eine Prüfung hat. Whenever he has an exam. This is also some kind of help to make sure that you use the correct when. And the last one, you can also use when you talk about wishes. Wishes and together with this nur. Zum Beispiel, wenn ich nur mehr Zeit hätte. Wenn ich nur mehr Zeit hätte. If I only had more time. Oder wenn es nur nicht so kalt wäre. Wenn es nur nicht so kalt wäre. If only it wasn't so cold. Here you see the verbs. Here we have these umlaut on both. This is always a sign for conjunctive, and conjunctive is used for wishes. Something which is not actually happening. So when I say, wenn ich nur mehr Zeit hätte, this means I actually don't have more time, or I'm running out of time and I need more time. So I wish for more time. And also the second one, wenn es nur nicht so kalt wäre, this means it is cold, but I wish it would be not so cold. And for those situations, for those kind of short phrases, we often use this wenn, and together with this nur. Also conjunctive, if this is a topic you're not familiar with, you find also videos down in the description. Bonustipp. This is kind of a short tip I want to share with you to make sure, or kind of double check, that you used the correct when. So whenever you can replace when with at what time or at what point in time, use wann. Again, whenever you can replace when, in English, the English when, with the English at what time or at what point in time, then you have to use the German wann. Let's make examples. Wann fängt der Film an? Wann fängt der Film an? When does the movie start? Oder bis wann arbeitest du morgen? Bis wann arbeitest du morgen? Until when do you work tomorrow? Now here the translations. We could also say in English, at what time does the movie start, right? Or, until what time do you work tomorrow? So we can replace this when, this English when, with at what time. And if you can do this, then this means you have to use wann. Because, let's look at this example. Will you come home when you're done? Will you come home when you're done? So, could you also say in English, will you come home at what time you're done? Will you come home at what time you're done, or what time you're done? Doesn't sound correct, right? There's something wrong. So this doesn't work in English. And therefore, you have to use this wenn. So in German, it would be, kommst du nach Hause, wenn du fertig bist? Kommst du nach Hause, wenn du fertig bist? So this is the kind of easy check you can do by translating this when, or replacing this when with what time or at what time. And here also you see there is a question, right? So a question with is actually with the conjunction wenn. So just to show you, it is possible also to use questions with wenn. And the second bonus tip is actually not a bonus tip, I'm sorry, it's too long. It's this video here. It's a difference between wenn und als. Because als is the third one. This when in English can be wann, wenn oder als. And in this video, you will learn all about those two and also the three together. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und tschüss.